The cage is a liar. It looks like steel and canvas, but it's really a confessional booth. Under those lights, there's no hiding who you are. At UFC 313, Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira walked in as two kings, but only one left with a crown. And now, months later, we're not just watching a rematch. We're watching a reckoning. Pereira swears he was only 40%. Ankalaev says excuses don't matter. Somebody's telling the truth, somebody's lying to themselves. And at UFC 320, the cage is about to expose which is which. Two kings, one unfinished war. Ankalaev, the stone-faced grinder from Dagestan, versus Pereira, the Brazilian thunder god who built his reputation knocking giants unconscious. This isn't just a fight. This is legacy on the line. And legacy is the one thing you can't fake. I'm Reggie Cross, and today we're going behind the lines of Ankalaev versus Pereira 2. Let's get into this. The first fight back in March, Ankalaev shocked a lot of people. He didn't land a single takedown, 12 attempts stuffed, but he still walked out with gold around his waist. How? He pressed Pereira, forced him on the back foot, and stripped away his rhythm. Pereira's power comes alive when he's hunting. Ankalaev flipped the script and made him the hunted. It was one of the smartest game plans I've seen in years. But Pereira says that wasn't the real version of him. He admitted he was only 40% that night. Not the kind of thing he usually says either. Pereira's never been the excuse-making type. He even said he surprised himself by performing as well as he did under those circumstances. He wouldn't spell out what the problem was, but the point was clear. He believes the world hasn't seen what he can really do against Ankalaev, and he's promising this time he'll leave no doubt. Meanwhile, Ankalaev pushed back with his own accusations, saying Pereira felt too slippery, implying greasing. No commission acted on it. Pereira brushed it off as excuse-making, but the talk still hangs in the air. Add to that the clip of the two of them jawing at the UFC Performance Institute, Pereira calling him an asshole, Ankalaev refusing to back down, and you've got genuine tension simmering into fight week. By the way, if you're locked in on this fight the way I am and feeling the vibe, hit that subscribe and drop your predictions in the comments. Who do you believe? Pereira's 40% or Ankalaev's claim that he exposed the real fighter? I want to see where you land before they step into the cage. Now, looking at their careers, Ankalaev has been the picture of consistency. Since his debut loss to Paul Craig,
it's the fence, the 10-second counter went, and Paul Craig threw that triangle up like a Venus flytrap.
He's gone unbeaten, beating names across every style. He's calm under fire, patient, and disciplined. He doesn't have Pereira's knockout reel, but he's the guy who will quietly break you down over 5 rounds until there's nothing left. Pereira, on the other hand, is chaos personified. He burst out of kickboxing into the UFC, ran through contenders, dethroned Adesanya, climbed into light heavyweight, and took over with brutal efficiency. He has the kind of power that changes fights with one shot, and the aura that makes fans believe he can always find a way. That's what makes this rematch so fascinating. Ankalaev is the favorite, Pereira's the underdog. History leans toward the defending champ in rematches like these, but Pereira has made a career out of breaking patterns. He wasn't supposed to be here in the first place, and yet he's turned doubt into fuel every time. So what happens this time? Here's my read. I think this fight will be close. Pereira's coming in sharper, healthier, and more motivated than before. He's had time to adapt, time to make adjustments, and he's been working with the right people to push his grappling defense even further. He's dangerous in a way Ankalaev can't ignore. But when I look at the total picture, the consistency, the composure, the way Ankalaev controls pace, I see him doing just enough to win again. It won't be easy, and it won't be a blowout. I think it's a close, grinding fight with Ankalaev edging out another win and holding on to the belt. Okay, so what comes next? Win or lose for both fighters? Let's start with if Ankalaev wins, his legitimacy skyrockets. Beating Pereira twice, back-to-back, removes all doubt. He's no longer the guy who caught Poatan on an off night. He's the guy. That likely sets him up with Jiří Procházka, Chaos Incarnate, as his next challenger. Calm versus chaos, it sells itself. And if Ankalaev can get through Jiří, we're looking at the start of a Dagestani dynasty at light heavyweight, maybe even talk of heavyweight down the line. But if Ankalaev loses, that narrative flips overnight. He goes from champion to the guy who got exposed in the rematch. If Pereira knocks him out, the demand for a trilogy fight is instant. If it's a close decision, Ankalaev might have to step aside, fight another top contender, and claw his way back. He'd still be elite, still dangerous, but the aura of inevitability would crack. For Pereira, a win is redemption, pure and simple. He'd erase the sting of UFC 313, reclaim his throne, and set up a fireworks matchup with Jiří Procházka. That's the fight fans dream about: spinning elbows, haymakers, madness until somebody falls. A win could also reopen the heavyweight door. He's teased it before, and if he's holding gold again, you better believe the UFC would push him toward chasing history as a 3-division champion. But if Pereira loses again, that's when things get a bit tricky. At 38, 2 straight losses at light heavyweight would close the title window. The UFC might book him for fun fights against names like Jamal Hill or Rakic because Pereira versus anyone is still box office. Or he skips that grind entirely and jumps to heavyweight anyway. Even in defeat, the UFC could sell it as a fresh start. Pereira, tired of weight cuts, going for heavyweight glory. Win or lose, he'll always be marketable. But another loss probably shifts him out of championship talks and into spectacle fights. That's the crossroads. For Ankalaev, a win means dynasty. A loss means doubt. For Pereira, a win means redemption, maybe even heavyweight history. A loss means he becomes a gun for hire in big fights, a legend chasing money more than belts. This isn't just another title fight. This is a trial by fire. Ankalaev is the mountain, immovable, unshaken. Pereira is the storm, unpredictable, violent, and wild. And when storm meets mountain, you don't get clarity, you get destruction. The cage doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't care about whispers of 40% or slippery clinches. The cage is honest in the ugliest way possible. It strips men down to their essence and leaves the truth bleeding under the lights. And on October 4th, in Las Vegas, the truth is coming for both of them. By the time the final horn sounds, there will be no shadows left to hide in. Just one man's hand raised, one crown secured, and another left staring at the reality that legends are fragile, thrones are temporary, and kings can vanish in a single round. And that's why this fight matters. Because long after the posters come down and the press conferences fade, we'll remember who stood tall when the cage demanded the truth. This fight is going to shake the division no matter who wins. Now it's your turn. Drop your predictions in the comments. Who you got? I'm Reggie Cross for Behind the Lines. If you're feeling the vibe, hit that subscribe, and remember, hype fades, legacy don't. Peace.
745